Making a Sugar-Free Pear Cobbler, William Hovey Smith, 2018. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and this cobbler is something I often use as a dessert with my wild game meals. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman, and beside me is a tub of pears. I have a particular pear tree in my yard. This is an old plantation house. And time was that every plantation house and every farmhouse in the southeast had these particular pears. They are a very hard pear. They are meant for canning. They are meant for pear preserves. They are meant for pear relish. They're not a take off the tree and go chomp pear, you'll break teeth. So what I'm going to do with these, make a pear cobbler without any sugar. And most cobblers made in the southeast are so sweet I quite frankly don't like them and can't eat them. Now the first thing I'm going to have to do is of course peel these things, and then we boil them to the point where they're soft, and then we actually make up the breading used in the cobbler. So I'm going to be peeling pears for a while. As you see, I have a tub for them here. And in previous videos, you can see where I made, among other things, a pear sauce out of them, a pear wine out of them, as well as cut them in half and heated them in the oven and caramelized them, and then used that as a dessert with a little dollop of Cool Whip on. So there are many ways to use these pears. Also, when I've got them, throw a few in vegetable soups and other things, just to give a hint of crunch and a hint of sweetness. So they're very, very useful. So if you have a tree with hundreds of these on, and when they bear very well indeed, okay, use them. Oh, we get around with the peeling. And this is going to take a while. You can hear the pear being cut. There. Okay. These cuttings and peelings, they can go out on my food plot for my deer. In the meantime, these go immediately in the water to keep them from oxidizing. And so, I proceed. Well, we now have a pile of peelings, as you see, and a pot full of cut pears. So this goes on the stove, and we proceed to cook us some pears. Now that's about done so far as the number of pears go. Now I'm going to add some butter directly on top of these hot pears. This dish has already been white with butter, so that will make it a little more stick resistant when I start to take the product out. There's no need to stir it further because that would just break up the texture of the pears, which you don't want. All right. Now we start is a mix that will go in and over the top, the breading. And I don't usually measure this, but I think we have to use about 2 cups of flour. Okay. I do want some baking powder in there to give a little rise. So we have about half a teaspoon of baking powder. One thing many people forget is adding some salt to bread products. This is about half a teaspoon of salt. If you don't add the salt, the bread will taste flat. Use a technical term. Okay, we mix the dry ingredients here. Okay. Now, we'll start adding some stuffs. Eggs. One egg for each cup of flour seems to work about right. These are large eggs. A little oil. Milk. Let's say 3/4 of a cup. Okay, you can use a full cup and then some. Okay, so this brings it up to 1 1/4 cups for 2 cups of flour. But you want the batter so it'll pour and get down into the interstices of these pears. Beat it till you've got the major lumps out. Then proceed to pour in your mix. And spread your batter around so that it covers all parts of the pan here. Give it a little shake. All right. Now into the oven at 350 degrees. And now we clean up and wait. Our cobbler is just out of the oven. And yeah, it's doing good. So what we're going to do is put some cheese on it while it is still hot. I don't want to put this cheese in the oven because if you do, it tends to overly burn or overly dry. So it's still hot enough to work on this cheese and absorb it a little bit. Okay. So we have a nice coating of cheese on the top. And although I put no sugar in this mix, I'm going to drizzle some honey over the top. And that will suffice to give it a sufficient amount of sweetness. Now, if you had used sugar, you would have used almost 2 cups of sugar in this much cobbler, which is much too sweet. Now the cheese is starting to melt. It's absorbing enough heat from the bread, which is exactly what is wanted. And this is another look at the cobbler after the cheese has melted on the top. So now we have our sugarless cobbler. This is Hovey Smith reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. I have a recipe section with things anybody can cook in all of my softcover outdoor books. These include backyard deer hunting, extreme muzzleloading, crossbow hunting, and practical bow fishing. My newest book is a business book, Create Your Own Job Security, Plan to Start Your Own Business at Midlife. In this book, I advocate that a person start a whole series of businesses throughout their lives to accomplish their immediate needs, as well as ultimately find a business that you can run quietly in the background whilst you are still employed at age 40 and older. This way, if you get suddenly laid off, you already have something you can do to make a living. Now, this cobbler can be made with any fruit, and the cooking time varies about half an hour at 350 degrees. You want the bread product to be done, but not burned, obviously. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 700 videos, you can go to www.hoveysmith.com. For my business title, you can go to the website below. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.